Amy never thought herself deceitful, but when, after 5 rolling rocks and 2 shots of Jim Beam, Justin began eyeing her, she felt suddenly like she was alone in this. That is, alone, without Carrie. So without Carrie, as if this had absolutely nothing to do with him. They played a game of pool, her and Justin, and it was close, the balls cracking each other into pockets succinctly, all the angles aligning like fate, just like above the table. She let Justin offer her a cigarette, even though she hadn't smoked in way too long to want to ever again, and then she found herself moving her body in ways that kept his eyes on her longer than they would have, were both of them sober, and the heat hadn't been there just then. She never thought she had the capacity to deceive, to hurt, to be this cruel, to act out a cruelty as indirect as being with another him, giving him a part of her that would otherwise belong to Carrie. It turned out she was right. She couldn't go through with it. When Justin finally touched her, it was her body itself that recoiled, even though her feelings, or that spot on her chest that emanates such things, had already convinced her to go through with it. In fact, this squishy little nugget right below her breast, from which her breasts sprouted, she sometimes thinks, was just waiting, and waiting mightily, to gain a taste of that fruit, that occluded thing, oh so forbidden and delightful, therefore hidden beneath his clothes. But her body didn't belong there. This man it wouldn't stand for. Her body promptly ushered her to the restroom, hunkered her over, and began vomiting out in violent streams whatever it was that had come to fill her. She insisted she would walk herself home. She actually swatted away his hand as he tried to calm her down, convince her it would be best to wait a minute to catch a ride, the 6 or 7 blocks, no telling what a dark city has in store for a compromised female. You got that right, she wanted to say, meaning him, meaning even and more so, her own self. She ambled down the streets, her lungs got tight with weeping, her eyes brimmed over, and she was more and more angry with Justin, with herself, with the alcohol, the cigarette she smoked, angry with her body that taunted both of them, then suddenly changed its mind, just like the tease it had been at 14, at 18, at 20, up until Carrie, actually. She got to feeling ugly. She took off her sandals and half hoped a sharp piece of sidewalk would agree with her guilt, fix her up some judgment, a sharp blade of glass, some tetanus, lockjaw, severance from anything good for just a little while, something. Anything to relieve her of this nagging wave of ugliness now seeping from her pores, coating her with a slimy film that must smell fetid, putrific to anyone who passed. Who was this who was about to pass her? William? Yeah. Hi, it's Amy. Oh, hello. He stands a few feet from her, not saying anything else. Out for a walk? She asks. Just thinking. Really? Where are you headed? Do you want an escort? No, I'm fine. Thanks. I'm just coming home from Streeter's. The man is reticent tonight. Well, not that he ever isn't, but Amy wants him to be a little more open, as he can be on occasion. I was hanging out with Justin, she says. Carrie? He's studying. You look a little drunk? Upset? She laughs. William certainly has a way with words that don't need to be. Look, she holds out her hand to him, placing it in a spot between them where the streetlights shoot clean through the leaves above. I don't see anything. I'm shaking. Why? She says no more. He gestures with his head, a dispelling motion. Yeah, well, it's a warm night. She wonders if he isn't dismissing her emotions. Does he understand what she's trying to confess? Confess? What is she trying to tell him? What had she really done anyway, or what had she almost done back there with Justin? She wants to ask William a question about deception. She can't figure out how to phrase it. William puts his own hand forward, palm up, in a spot that's also clear of shadow. He seems to concentrate on it, on his hand. She can't see his eyes, but his forehead, normally quite imposing, is positively intimidating. as if it were radiating a certain concentration that worked to speed up molecular decay, quartering the half-life of any word or thought just by thinking it. Then this imaginary or inferred force passes, and her eyes return to his upturned palm. It is pale white, even in the yellow glow of the orange sulfur lamp. It is empty, and it isn't shaking. What is he trying to show her? She looks harder at the hand, suspended in the dark, cut off from the body it belongs to by the thick darkness, by the slick, warm absence of light, and she watches it curl up into a fist. William says, "Sometimes at night I see things in my head, images that keep me up. For the past month or so, I've been seeing this fist, alone in the darkness." Amy waits, watching the fist before her, which could come to mean anything, everything, in fact, if William decided to make it so. His voice goes on. "But not tonight. Tonight I saw something else. I can still see it when I blink, or look too long at a lightless spot." "What do you see?" "I don't know if I can. I see a face without edges. That's it. That's what I see, a face without edges, going on and on." "What do you mean?" "That's all I mean. No edges, no end. This huge face." "What sort of face? What sort of face is the face making?" "I can't see that far. I can only see pieces of it. I need to keep walking." Amy's stomach feels like a rock. Her whole body, in fact, feels swollen and squarish, like those Picasso figures that fill up whole canvases, puffed up and moving in all directions at once, just by their gross solidity, their marshmallow-fied bluntness. A burp comes up from her esophagus and out her mouth before she thinks to suppress it. William remains nonplussed. He relaxes his hand, slides it from the air between them. After a few more words, mumbled, they part ways. She takes a long shower, checking all her body parts for abrasions, doing a sort of roll call of the female form. Everything is intact and in place, but she double checks just in case, while the stream that surrounds her slowly dissolves the toxins that the night has put on her. She smells under her armpits, enjoying the pungent crispness of her own clean scent. She places her head under the shower head and closes her eyes, standing unmoving beneath the whole jet, feeling the heat as if it were something scarce, even though the air is replete with it, with temperature tonight. But wait, isn't temperature itself always present, whether cold or hot or 70 degrees? Isn't the world, the whole universe, seamlessly covered with temperature? Of course, in varying degrees. She considers this, failing to care whether it's a stupid thought or not. Then she steps from the tub and dries her body and sees in the mirror a hazy form that must be hers. Why did I just about do that with Justin? Why would I ever do that? Is something missing here? Or was I acting up? Or was I just drunk and being stupid? Still, that was dangerous, and I feel like he did touch me, even with just a hint of his touch. She wipes the glaze of condensation from the mirror's surface and looks back at herself. All her pimples are bright red against her pale skin, and her eyebrows are too thin and light, and her lips seem puffed as if someone's hit her. But all told, she isn't any less beautiful than she is at any other time of the day or week. She's neither more nor less, but naked. Is nakedness like temperature? Omnipresent? I somehow don't think so. I think nakedness is closer to being extinct than anything else, because it's like we can't afford to be naked because there's always some sort of parasite swarming around waiting for its chance to puncture our exposure. Exposure. She squints, brings up her eyebrows, puckers her lips, makes all the faces she can think of. Silly and scared, scary and sexy, all the emotions upon her heart's palate, wrapping them around each other like a killer cocktail, which reminds her of William, which reminds her to drink some water. In bed, Carrie is stiff and completely out of it. He mumbles something abstract that sounds like it came out of one of the books he's been cramming into his skull these last few weeks. She contorts herself so her breasts are pressed against his face and her stomach is bulging into his chest, without making him move at all. She puts her hands on his hair and kisses the crown of his head. Later, a car turns around on the street, in front of the house, sending rectangles of light casing about the room, bending to the walls and the books and the dresser, the closet. She waits for the light to land on her, but somehow it can't reach. She feels a great relief. She feels like some kid who's just been rescued. She lets go of her boyfriend, lays herself onto her stomach, and closes her eyes.